importance of having a goal. But are your daily actions bringing you closer to your goal? Are you planning your goal correctly? Or you don't plan it at all? Today, I'm going to discuss about goal setting. You will be able to learn how to plan a goal in smart and efficient manner so that you can reach your goal and maximize your potential. I am Kimberly A. Simbrano, your discussant for today's discussion. At the end of this day, I hope you will learn about Locke's goal setting theory and SMART goals. But before we dig in, let us first ask ourselves, what's a goal? A formal definition of goal, according to Professors Edwin Locke and Gary Latham, a goal is a level of performance proficiency that one wishes to attain within a specific time period. In other words, a goal is a desired outcome that you want to attain or achieve within a specific time period, like within a month, after 3 months, or at the end of the year. No matter what type your goal is, let's say it's a long term goal or a short term goal, either way, it is important to set goals properly, to understand what you really want, and to make sure that you can achieve your goal. So here we are, the first part of this discussion. Locke's goal setting theory, how to set a goal. Locke's goal setting theory was primarily developed by Edwin Locke, an American psychologist, and Gary Latham, the Secretary of State Professor of Organizational Effectiveness. According to Locke and Latham, goal setting theory was based on the premise that much human action is purposeful and it is directed by conscious goals, meaning humans act with a purpose, and people continuously strive and act towards goals because goals gives purpose or meaning to their action. They further added that goal setting theory predicts that people will channel effort toward accomplishing their goals, which will in turn affect performance. In order to achieve your goals, you spend some time and effort. Those efforts then affect your performance on how you achieve or how long it is to achieve your goal. So perhaps the smaller your efforts, the lower your performance, and the lower your performance, the more difficult it is to achieve your goal. On the contrary, the bigger your efforts, the higher your performance, and the higher your performance, the more easier it is to achieve your goal. Locke, who primarily developed goal-setting theory, proposed three factors that will make individuals highly motivated. First, goals are challenging and specific. If the goal can wake you up every morning or can help you sleep at ease every night, then it is one of the factors that will elevate your motivation towards your goal. Next, they are strongly committed to the goal or goals. If you spend a minute or an hour or a day to do something for your goal, or if you prioritize your goal before others, before other activity, then that commitment can be a sign that you are really serious in achieving your goal. And lastly, they strongly believe in their ability to accomplish their goal. As you imagine yourself having that Coca-Cola body as you exercise or having a 1.5 grades this semester, then that could be a sign that you are highly motivated in accomplishing your goal. However, these three motivating factors will only occur if, first, people know what is required of them. You can only experience a purposeful spirit every morning when you know how much time and effort you have to invest to achieve your goal, or how much it costs for materials, equipment, or tuition for people with major goals. So you are only excited or motivated to achieve your goal if you know what's needed. What are the requirements? Next, they know how they are expected to perform. You can only do the task for your goals properly if you know what's the proper mindset and behavior to perform when you do the task. There's nothing more fulfilling than doing the task without a fear, right? So, if you know what your friend, your buddy, or your teacher, or your parents that expect something from you and your goal, then you are motivated because you know what's the proper behavior then. Then, they can identify with the goals. It is much easier and more motivating to do the task if you can relate with your goal. If the goal is relevant, then it is much easier for you to engage with the task because you can apply it with your day to day activities. And lastly, feedback is precise and frequent. Because isn't it nice to be able to take a moment to reflect with your efforts and performance towards your goal? Because you will be able to identify how close you are to achieve your goal or how much effort is still needed. So, as of this moment, I believe that the idea of goal setting is incoherent and confusing. So, that is why Locke developed 5 principles of goal setting. It is also known as 4CF. CCCCF. 4CF. To summarize the ideas we encountered earlier, these 5 principles are the criterion for an effective goal. C for clarity, the quality of being clear and specific. Challenge, balance between challenging and specific goal. Another C for commitment, relevance to the person, and the harder the goal, the more commitment required. Another C, it's an F, feedback, to clarify expectations, adjust goal difficulty, and gain recognition. And lastly, C for complexity or task complexity. It involves balance between the task complexity, expectations, and time. C for clarity. When a goal is clear and specific, there will be less misunderstanding because you know what is expected and you know what behaviors are rewarded. C for challenge. One important aspect of a motivating goal is its level of difficulty. If you are just like other people who are motivated by achievement, then it is important to have a balance between a challenging and a realistic goal. If the goal is too easy, then you might act with passive behavior towards your goal. However, if your goal is too difficult, the anticipation to get the reward as your main motivation might lost. Hence, a goal with a balance between the quality of challenging and specific is a perfect balance. C for commitment. Earlier, I told you that it is much easier and more motivating to do the task if you can relate to it. If the goal is relevant, then the results are highly motivating because you can get to engage it with your day to day activities. Also, interestingly, goal commitment and difficulty often work together. The harder the goal, the more commitment is required. And if you have an easy goal, you do not need a lot of motivation to get it done. Therefore, make sure that the difficulty of your goal applies to your level of commitment. F, or only F, for feedback. Feedback provides opportunities to clarify expectations, adjust goal difficulty, and gain recognition. Feedback is important because it is one of the ways to measure your progress. and to find out if your methods and strategies are effective or not, and what areas needs more improvement. And from there, you can adjust your routines or your goal to effectively reach it. And then lastly, for task complexity. Again, setting a goal must have a balance between its level of challenge or difficulty, task complexity, and commitment or time. With complicated tasks, remember, make sure to learn or practice what is expected of you and give yourself sufficient time to meet your goal. So this ends the first part of our discussion about Locke's goal setting theory. We discussed about what Locke's goal setting theory is, who are the proponents, the motivating factors, how to activate those motivating factors, and these 5 principles of goal setting. Remember CCCFC or 4CF. And here we are at the second part of the discussion. If earlier we learned how to set a goals, this part we will learn how to set SMART goals. SMART goals. How to set a SMART goal. SMART goals is a goal setting technique developed by Kenneth Blanchard, an American researcher and author, and Spencer Johnson, an American physician and author as well. The idea was developed by the conditions given by Locke's goal setting theory, which we discussed earlier. At first, SMART goal stands for specific and measurable, motivating, attainable, relevant, and trackable. However, as time passed, the SMART acronym for goals has evolved into what they are today. You have probably heard this one: specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, and time related. For me, the latter is much easier and comprehensible than the former. That's just my opinion. So, how about you? What do you think? So, let's explore the meaning behind those letters through this figure. S for specific. This answers the basic W questions like what, where, when, why, and most importantly, how. M for measurable. It answers the questions from and to. A for assignable. It answers the question who. R for realistic. It answers the questions is it possible? Is it feasible? And T for time related. It will simply answer the question when. So let's specify it further. S for specific. This is the most important part of establishing and evaluating a goal. A specific goal is distinct and defines as much of the goal as possible. In simplest term, your goal has to be clear, original, and specific. It must not contain an ambiguous language. Make your goal clear, specific, and simple. You don't have to be formal and use similes or metaphors to make your goal appealing, because it is the thought of your goal that counts. Goals must be specific because those kind have a significantly greater chance than the others. You can use the basic W questions as a guide. You can ask yourself this. Listen carefully. Who? Who is involved in this goal? What? What do you want to accomplish? Where? Where can this goal be achieved? At home? At the office? When? When do you want to achieve that goal? And most importantly, ask yourself why. Why do you want to achieve that goal? Once you've answered those questions, you will be able to proceed to measurable. How can you measure your goal? What determines your success? There are goals that can simply be answered by yes or no. For example, I want to climb at the Mount Apple. And if you've done it, then yes, you're done. But most of the goals must be measured by the use of metrics or test scores. By having the criteria to measure your progress, you will be able to determine your progress and track your goal. In short, measurement gives feedback and lets you know when the goal is complete. A. For assignable. A goal must be relatable and make it your personal commitment. Assignable doesn't have to answer who are involved, like you or your team. Who doesn't mean people. It also means, can your goal be broken down to chunks? Can you broke can you break those goals into by weeks, by small tasks, by routines? That's for assignable. R for realistic. Our realistic goals are challenging yet attainable within the given time frame. If you set goals that are too difficult in a short amount of time, you may feel pressured and give up in the process. So make it realistic. You can answer the questions: is the goal realistic and within reach? Is the goal reachable given the time and resources you have? And are you able to commit to achieving that goal? Answer those questions, then you can proceed to T for time related. It simply answers the question when. Because a goal must have a start and a finish date. Because if it has no deadline, then there will be no sense of urgency and, in effect, less motivation to achieve that goal. You can also set or build habits. They are quick to develop if you stick to them. Setting a time frame for your goal will require you to develop a habit or routine. So once you have established a habit or routine, working toward your goal will come naturally as opposed to forced effort. So let's have an example. Again, S for specific, M for measurable, A for assignable, R for realistic, T for time related. For you to be motivated to perform, you need to have a specific goal. So a goal that increase my grade is too vague. Because increase my grade from from what grade and to what grade? Because if you say you wanted to increase your grade, you can some people may think or you may think that you have achieved your goal if you have a grade of from 85 to 89. So increase my grade is too vague. When will it end? After college? After this school year? After the semester? So this goal won't work. A more specific goal would be get a grade of 95 in understanding the self. You want a grade of 95. In what subject? In understanding the self. And since you've mentioned understanding the self, then that could also mean that your goal has a deadline because you only have understanding the self this semester. But this goal can still be improved. So let's improve it. Increase my grade in understanding the self from 89 to 95. From 88 to 95. We answered the question earlier. And make it assignable. You can simply add I will, so that you can show a connection. You can build a connection between you and your goal, meaning that is your personal commitment. Or for realistic, you cannot just say, I will increase in my grade in understanding the self from 88 to 100. Wow. There's nothing wrong in being ambitious, but make it realistic so that the reward, so you feel fulfillment with an, let's say, your within your average effort. So increasing your grade from 88 to 100 is too difficult. If you want to say, I'll increase my grade in understanding the self from 88 to 89, that's too easy because I believe, that you can get more than that. You can still push yourself. You can push yourself to your limits. So that won't work either. That's not an effective or smart goal. Make it, I will increase my grade in understanding the self from 88 to 95. Because a 95 grade is an average between 89 and 100. So you can specify it further by, I will increase my grade in understanding the self from 88 to 95 at the end of the year. That's a smart goal because you specify it, you have a way to measure your progress. It is assignable because you can build a routine by studying at least 30 minutes a day. It is realistic and it is time bounded. So before we end, let's have another example. Let's say I will lose 2 kilograms or 5 pounds at the end of 30 days, at the end of 1 month. You may think that this is too simple because it's just one sentence, but actually, this is a smart goal. Let's investigate. It is specific because 2 kilograms is clearer than I will lose weight. By mentioning 2 kilograms, you know what to track. Unlike I will lose weight. Because if you say I will lose weight, there are different ways to measure your progress. You can use your waistline perhaps, or you can measure your weight by using scale. So lose 2 kilograms is much more specific than I will lose weight. It is measurable because you can use waist or scale to measure the difference every day. And then it is assignable because you can break 2 kilograms into half kilo per week. It is also realistic because 2 kilograms is better than 5 kilograms or 10 kilograms in a month, provided if you are a beginner. And it is time related because it mentioned at the end of 30 days. So I will lose 2 kilograms or 5 pounds at the end of the 30 days is a smart goal. So here ends our discussion. I will leave this quote: a goal without a plan is just a wish. I am Kimberly A. Simbrano, your discussant for today's discussion. Happy goal setting!